Welcome all of you. We are honored to have with us today distinguished dignitaries who have made significant contribution to the field of lifelong learning. First, I would like to introduce Professor Simon Otama, Director of Adult Continuing Education and an academician in the School of Government and Politics at University College Cork, Ireland. He is also an adjunct professor at the University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya, India. He is chair of ASSEM Lifelong Learning Hub, which aim to shape the direction of lifelong learning research, policy and practice of the ASSEM community. He is a member of International Adult and Continuing Education Hall of Fame and writes a weekly column for the Irish Examiner newspaper. Please welcome, give a big round of applause for Professor Simon Otama. I would like to request you to the cause of lifelong learning and your relentless pursuit of academic excellence have been instrumental in shaping the future of education. Give a big round of applause. Thank you, sir, for coming all the way. Moving forward, I would like to invite Mr. Satyendra Singh Chauhan, sir, to felicitate Professor Sudhanshu Pandya, sir. Professor Pandya, sir, as the Dean of Administration, your efforts have been a pivotal in the smooth functioning of our institution. Give a big round of applause. Moving forward, I would like to invite Dr. Pavan Gupta, sir, to felicitate Professor J.P. Dubey ji. Professor Dubey, sir, your contribution to our institution and the field of education are truly inspiring. Give a big round of applause. Next, I request Dr. Prashant sir to come forward and felicitate Professor D.S. Rajput ji. Professor Rajput, your dedication and commitment to the cause of education have left an incredible mark on our institution. I would like to invite, as we embark on the intellectual voyage, I have the honor of inviting Professor Sandeep Singh sir from the Department of Lifelong Learning and Extension and the Director of IQAC, an esteemed member of our faculty, but also the driving force behind this seminar, to extend a heartfelt welcome to all the luminaries and eager minds present here today. So please come and give your...
Thank you, Pooja. Dear friends, a very warm welcome to the esteemed participant of the 2 days international conference, that is Beyond Education, Making Lifelong Learning a Reality in India. As we all know, that lifelong learning is the continuous building of skills and knowledge throughout the life of an individual. Learning is therefore part of life which takes place at all times and in all places in the continuous lifelong learning process, going from birth to the end of the life. Thus we can say that it is not confined to a classroom or a specific period, but it is a continuous process. In the dynamic landscape of 21st century, where change is not just a constant but an accelerant, India finds itself in a position of exceptional global leadership among the G20 nations. This conference serves as a vital nexus for exchange of transformative ideas that can boost our nation towards its top. Our nation potential, with the largest youth population, global and growing economic foundation, places us at crucial crossroads. To harness this potential, a fundamental restructuring of our educational paradigm is imperative. The current challenges of productivity, employability, and societal challenges need a comprehensive transformation. The new Education Policy 2020 has laid a crucial groundwork for this transformation, offering a blueprint for redefining our educational landscape. As it unfolds, we as a stakeholder have a unique opportunity to shape its narrative and contribution significant to the discourse. On this occasion, I extended my sincere gratitude to all of you for gracing this event with your presence. A special welcome to extended our esteemed chief guest, Professor Seaman, Chairman of ACM Education and Research Hub for Lifelong Learning Ireland. Sir, your presence adds immense value to our deliberation. Thank you so much, sir. I also extended my gratitude to Professor Soren, Chairman of Center for Lifelong Learning at the University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya, for their invaluable contribution. Your participation amplifies the scholarly richness to these references. Thank you so much, sir, for coming here. Special JP sir. A gracious, at present, in this occasion, a gracious acknowledgement to our Vice Chancellor, who under his dynamic leadership has propelled our institution to achieve A++ grading from NAC. It is a great achievement. Although he is unable to join us this moment due to an urgent meeting with the Governor of Uttar Pradesh, and as we all know that a program was organized by the Prime Minister, so all the Vice Chancellor of the state universities will have to go to the Governor House. But we eagerly await his presence later in the evening or tomorrow. I would like to express my deep appreciation to Professor Sudhanshu Pandya, Dean Administration, Chhatrapati Savaji Maharaj University, Kanpur, whose unwavering support has been a cornerstone in organizing this seminar. Thank you so much, sir. A warm welcome to all participants representing diverse corners of the world and India. Your collective presence enriched the fabric of our discussion. I also extended gratitude and welcome to the media representative covering this event. And also, of course, our dearest students. Without the student, we cannot think about this conference, we cannot think about any event, and their support, their energy, and their vibrancy is always needed in any event. So thank you so much for all our students. This conference represents the open-minded ethos of the Indian academia implementation insight from diverse corners of the world to foster constructive learning opportunities. The ideas shared here are dignified not only to elevate our academic institution but to chart a transformative course for the entire nation. Once again, I extended my heartfelt welcome to each one of you. May these 2 days be filled with enriching discussion, insightful perspectives, and fruitful collaboration. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightenment. Now let's set sail on the sea of knowledge with Professor Soren Elha. Professor Soren Elha, Chairman at the Center for Lifelong Learning, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya, and Distinguished Professor at the International Institute for Adult and Lifelong Learning Education, India. He has been teaching and doing research at Aarhus University, Denmark.
I will now give you an introduction to the theme of this conference. It's about science, and I have used this little analytical tool to start and to talk about in the beginning of my introduction. My English is not so good. I am Danish, so some of my words will not be good to understand, but I speak slow and do my best. See, this analytical tool is called the box model. It's about 4 different rationalities, or you could say 4 different ways of thinking. And the idea behind the model is that if you think in one of the boxes, you cannot understand the 3 others. So it's about understanding that context matters. I say, for example, we in this room are all scientists. We in this room believe in science, in the free science. And that is why we, sitting in the science box, cannot understand those people in the policy box, or the profession box, or the practice box, because we think in another way as scientists. I will not go deeper in this. No, I will first go into another slide. Maybe I can move it myself. No, I cannot. How do I move it? Yes. I have tried to be close to this situation in science today. I am here having 4 scientific articles published this year. They have much in common. They are all writing about lifelong learning. They are all using the same methodology. They are all, 3 of them are getting to the results with this curve that you see in front of you. And the 4th one is not getting to that result. It means that I, as a scientist, can learn something from comparing these 4 articles, printed in the same year, dealing with the same topic, which is lifelong learning, and using the same methodology, which is called bibliometric analysis. It's about mapping the production of knowledge. And in our case, it is the production of knowledge about lifelong learning. I'm working on it. It will become an article that will be published within a year or two. We look upon the curve. It's obvious that something happened in 1995. From 1995, the production of knowledge about lifelong learning started to expand. And you can see there has been a little going down around 2015, but then it goes up again. I think it will go up and up. What can we compare this production of knowledge with? We can compare it with the production of knowledge about adult education. In many places, the researchers working with lifelong learning are working in a framework of adult education. And now I will give you one of my conclusions, that is, lifelong learning has left home. Lifelong learning has left the home of adult education. Lifelong learning has left the home in 2023. This year, and this has never happened before, this year, 4 people, 4 research groups, independent of each other, sat down to study what is lifelong learning in relation to the production of scientific knowledge. That is why we suddenly get 4 articles. It's because lifelong learning is high on the agenda. Some of you may know that you can use Google Scholar to get an overview of the publications in different fields. I did that. I looked in Google Scholar to see how many hits will I get if I write adult education. And I got 16,700 hits on adult education. Then I tried with lifelong learning. What did I get? 22,500 hits. So this year, 2023, the number of scientific publications about lifelong learning is higher than the number of publications about adult education. This happened this year, the same year as these 4 independent groups started studying the production of knowledge in lifelong learning. And we move to the next board. That is interesting. It's the junior researchers who are doing it. It's not the seniors. It's not people like me. It's the juniors that is using these methods to understand what lifelong learning is. And this woman, who is the first author of the article, tried to map the knowledge production after scientific disciplines. It seems to me that some of her results in this is wrong, but that is not the point. The point is that studies of lifelong learning are done by people in very different disciplines. You can see in the bottom, computer science. Computer science uses the concept lifelong learning. Medicine uses it. Engineering, business management, art and humanities, nursing, psychology, environment science, health professions, and then we have a huge group of others, and that's why I say this is probably not so precise. If we go to the 42.6% that is called social science, I think they are clubbing many things down into social science, and one of the things that is missing in this is economics. I guess that they regard economics as social science and they put it in here. But what would be interesting, for me at least, is what is the production of knowledge about lifelong learning done by economists? And could I go back to my curve? Yes? No, that's not. Yes, now the question. I am trained as a historian, so I look for explanations. Why is it growing on that year? What is happening in 1995? In 1955, thank you. This year and the next year, international organizations started to recommend lifelong learning. Lifelong learning is not coming from any nation state. It's coming from these international organizations. And there is one thing that is driving it so that it culminates in 1995. Let's go a little back in time. What happened in the 80s? China started to produce goods which on container ships were sent out in the world. The Americans noticed it. They said, we have to compete with these Chinese. Bill Clinton was elected as president, and in his speech in January this year, 95, he said, we will have to start a global competition about markets. And a few months after, the European Commission sent out a report that was called Growth, Employment and Competition. In that report, they mentioned maybe we should start to make lifelong education. 2 years after the European Commission changed its standpoint and said, we have to make much more lifelong learning. Learning is something different from education. Learning is the result of education. Learning is something you can measure. Education is a cost. Learning is an investment. It's another approach, and I call it the learning regime. The learning regime was born, and it was born in Brussels, in the European Commission. From now on, the European Commission started to talk about lifelong learning. For 10 years they were talking and preparing for lifelong learning. For 10 years they were preparing a campaign. This campaign started in 2007 and it lasted 7 years. For 7 years the European Commission talked about lifelong learning everywhere. And then investing in people. It's investing in the individual. If you invest in the individual, the learning of the individual will get a job, will get a better health, will get a better life, will stop being criminal, and so on. The World Bank backed this up. Then the International Labour Organization is saying the same. Lifelong learning is the way forward. And slowly, this lifelong learning is rolling out in the world. Now we have Sustainable Development Goals, and goal number 4 is quality education and lifelong. So it's the UN that is saying to all countries in the world, this is a fantastic opportunity. This conference is called Implementing Lifelong Learning. It's difficult to implement it. Remember I said the European Commission used 10 years to prepare a campaign that lasted 7 years. So it's no wonder, because to think in learning and not in education, you have to change your way of thinking. So this is something that you have to change your way of thinking. So this is something that is going on over time. It started in 95 and it's going up and up and up and up. And then I said, lifelong learning has left home. Because what were they doing? My esteemed colleague Bjarne, who is sitting here on the front line, he is the 3rd professor of adult education in Denmark. We had 2 before him. And I guess that he would be the last professor in adult education, because adult education is downsized and lifelong learning is upsized. Lifelong learning is about all age groups, not only adults, but we all know the adults are the majority of the population. So to make adults lifelong learners is a very complicated thing, because people are different. You have to cater around it. You have to care for motivation, for planning, for using. And one of the great things about what we saw here, when we look upon the sciences that was working with lifelong learning, was that computer science is working with it, and management is working with it. So if my learned colleague, who's next to Bjarne, that is Jakob, who is also a speaker here, Bjarne is an expert in measuring, and Jakob will lecture about measuring later, and we will find out what is the good results of investments in lifelong learning. Because if you can prove through statistical methods that this was a really good investment, then you get more money, you get more funding. And something is important here. I am not talking only about public funding. It's the employers that should be convinced only about public funding. It's the employers that should, the more they invest in their in the learning, lifelong learning of their employees, the more the productivity of the enterprise grows. This is what's going on right now. Bill Clinton said, we will have to compete. The European Commission said, we have to compete. We have to compete. When one of the really interesting documents from the European Commission is called Teaching and Learning. What is giving the best outcome? It is the learning. Maybe you are learning without being taught. Maybe there are situations where you learn more without the teacher, with your computer. What was the situation in the mid-90s? It was that the personal computer became something that you could buy. It's not a computer for everybody, computer, because learning, human learning, is a very personal thing. And with your computer, you are able to access all the knowledge of the world. But somebody has to support you. It's not only about ideas. The literature about pedagogy is filled with ideas. But an idea without resources is just an idea. So there is how to convince them. How to convince the big companies to invest in their people. And here we come to the measurement which Jakob will talk about. If we measure the return of the investments, then the ideas that we are coming with are much more credible. We can convince people, and we can especially convince them if we can visualize. Here we can visualize. It's obvious for all of you. I could have been speaking for the week and tried to change your mindset. But with this visualization, I can show that to study lifelong learning is not only a thing for the social sciences of the humanities. No, it's something for computer science, medicine, engineering, business management, arts and humanities, nursing, psychology, environment science, health professions, and so on. We will make much better illustrations of this. All disciplines are working with lifelong learning, and I hope that Jakob will help me, because this is a new field for me. I have got five articles here, and I'm very happy to have the articles. And then I will mention one of them, one of the articles which is not so good, and tell you why it's not so good. I will not mention the authors, but what they are doing is that they are saying, we only want to map the knowledge production that is having very high quality. So these two guys who have made that article, they look only upon the articles in 6 journals that is having very high prestige. But when they do that, they are exclusive to map all the activity in journals and say, the articles in these journals, we will map them. And then they paint a picture that is completely outdated and irrelevant, because lifelong learning is a case for everybody. All the sciences should contribute to the understanding of what can we do with lifelong learning, what are the good results, why are they good, can we measure what is learned, can we show the progression in a group of learners? Yes, we can, but we have only started on that. So I'm happy that you are here. I'm happy that you can see the perspective, and you can see the perspective because you are here. So welcome to this conference. Hope that we can lift this wonderful idea a little higher.
A big round of applause. With the concept of lifelong learning. As we navigate these waters, it's time to hear from our keynote speaker, the illustrious Professor J.P. Dubey. Sir, we are honored to have Professor Jayaprakash Dubey, sir. Professor Dubey is a proud alumnus of University of Delhi. His journey in academia has been illustrious, with career spanning over a decade at the Department of Adult Continuing Education and Extension at the University of Delhi. Here, he has been instrumental in extension, teaching, and research since 2009. His administrative prowess is evident from his past role. He has served as the head of department, the Dean of Faculty of Social Sciences, and has been a member of both the Academic Council and the Executive Council at the University of Delhi. With more than 3 decades of experience, he has extensively contributed to the Institute of Cybersecurity Research and Educational Administration. His contribution to the field have been recognized and awarded by the Newspaper Association of India, who named him the best educationist for the year 2014 and 15. He has also been a visiting professor at the JM University of Würzburg, Germany, and has served on the executive committee of the Indian Academy of Social Sciences and the People's Council of Education. Professor Dubey's association with the professional bodies is extensive. He is a member secretary of Interim Advisory Board and the Interim Governing Body of Delhi School of Journalism. He has also been a coordinator for the Syllabus Committee of JRF-NET in Adult and Continuing Education at the University Grant Commission and a member of Standing Committee for New Course at University of Delhi. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Professor J.P. Dubey, sir. Yes. No, sir. Like other keynote speaker.
Namaskar. Chief guest, Mr. Soren, Mr. Tama, and the Dean of Economics, Mr. Arya, Wan Singh, Sandeep ji, Prashant ji, organizing seminar, education, what is happening in Europe, and how you are struggling at our own place. 2-3 major concerns has come to us. I was thinking that being deviated, in fact, it has been stranded by Soren's presentation, that things are moving in different direction. Yes, of course it is moving in different direction. Now public funding or funding from European countries is no longer an issue. In last 20 years we have seen the funding is a limited requirement. It is no longer that if somebody from outside is funding your project, then only it will survive, otherwise it will not. Now it is a matter of collaboration. Who is collaborating with whom? If you are not collaborating, you are not reaching, you are not ascending to newer heights. People have started working and probing something. There was a time I started my communication with my paying respect to Professor S.C. Bhatia, who happens to be the founder of this whole educational movement in the country. He single-handedly, he was the person who was instrumental in introducing adult continuing education program to 108 universities. 108 universities. Why he was working so hard? Because that was the time in 1977-78 when things were a little difficult. We were hardly 2% in higher education. 2% people were going to the higher education. The total country has 15,000 colleges. I'm not talking about the universities. Total number of universities were 170, including all sorts of universities. Issue kya tha? Issue was, are we reaching out to the maximum number of the people? That was the difficulty. We have come from that difficulty. Now we are sharing the abilities with the people that there are possibilities of collaboration. Collaboration in what? That we can learn together. If we can learn together, it means we are promoting lifelong learning. This is what has been the achievement in last 70 years. Even in adult education departments, which were subjected to be doing something which was known as, you are making people adult basic literacy, you are helping them to learn. Then why come universities should have any adult education program? Nobody was thinking that it is some sort of a mechanism which is likely to be recognized in people, those who are learning beyond the institutions. These institutions were doing something which intended to develop these as a tool of measuring how people are learning outside these institutions. And the modestly they were working. Unfortunately, UNESCO has always been pressing you with the man count data, that how many people you have made literate. So it was mandatory for you. You were working very fine with social education when you were talking about the literacy and adult education. Is a combination of all these things. When you're shattered by the simple communication that you're still 10%, you're 18%, say you have moved to 18 to 34%, 36% of the total literacy. So head count literacy has been at the bane of this entire exercise. This head count literacy has created a lot of difficulty in asserting your position, in realizing your potential. Universities were following the dictums which is pervading all throughout the world. What was that? That you are some Mr. X and they are Mr. Y. And X cannot be compared with Y because Y has not been trained into that institution for which the standard has been set. That was the difficulty. It took a lot of time to break that difficulty, and even at the smaller institutional level, we followed that lines. In the universities, we were trying to say, if you have not produced something like this, it means you have not done anything. You were comparing two sets of population who were at variance in their developmental design. This was unfair. You put somebody in disadvantage and you say that I'm comparing you with this one. That is what is the dissimilar orientation has been happening all throughout. Now, at least, today, in today's term, we can safely argue it out that with that modest beginning, something has moved in adult continuing education program. With your own premise, you started saying that no, head count literacy is no longer important. Now you are saying that learning together is important. Lifelong learning is important. So lifelong learning has always been a concept which has been rooted into your own history, your own society. Culturally you have been doing. You are never certified in your school that you have done graduation or master graduation. People were saying, ye bada gyani aadmi hai. That's all. If you needed some engineering advice from somebody, then there was an old man. You went to them and he was competent enough to give you a suggestion that you do this pillar, yahan lagao, wahan karo, ye karo. Everything was happening. Standardization was embossed on me. Standardization was embossed on those situations who were not prepared and who had no such rooting into them. सारी problem की जड़ यहाँ से थी. Adult education slowly adjusted to these things. Even in the university, जितने लोग adult education में काम कर रहे हैं, they can very safely witness it कि how they were being treated by their peer departments in the university system. You are always subjected to the same sets of standard evaluation procedures. But why? You were not doing what they were expecting. Professor S.C. Bhatia has been fighting it at the government level since 1984 when I was a student. He communicated this, that there are 3 sets of activities which the universities need to adopt. One, those who are generating knowledge. And how many teachers are generating knowledge? If there are 160 people, 160 teachers in the university, hardly 30 people are generating knowledge. But everybody is engaged in dissemination. So generation of knowledge, dissemination of knowledge, and there is a possibility that somebody facilitates this process. Somebody should collaborate with, somebody should network with, because universities are producing a lot of good knowledge. Today, Soren was sharing that the lifelong learning is producing that much volume of the publication. Why it is happening and how it is being used? Because most of the adult education institutions have never been looking at these, and they were neither looking at you. Now they are also looking at you. And in India, तो ये कहानी ही success की story है. What you were practicing for last 40 years, the entire education policy has adopted it as such. जो चीजें आप किया करते थे, you were doing short-term courses for continuing education program. People were saying, what is this program? How can you do education program? People were saying, what is this program? How can you do something which has not been approved by academic council? Today academic council is saying, do anything, plan anything. Even if you are not evaluating, if you are saying that the person has attended that much of classes, that much of tutorials, then he or she is eligible to have this much of credit. This is your recognition. This you practiced for so long. And in fact, I have been fighting it at my own university. And I fought it for 10 years. That these shorter courses which we are doing as a continuing education measures, should it not be recognized? Why should it be recognized? The academic council never took cognizance of these things. Today they are saying, what was the method, how you are experimenting? This is the beauty of the Department of Adult Continuing Education, that they thrived on these premises, that they have the power to experiment. Whether these experiments were accepted by them or other people or not. But you continued with that experiment, and today these experiments are a reality. They are tangible. They are now measurable. They are being recognized. This recognition, of course, came very late. And this has not many success stories. But at least I have 6-7 such stories to share with you. There was a time when B.K.R.V. Rao in Trichinapalli attempted to say that there is a possibility that the student can be engaged with community in certain works. Long back in 1956, when this adult education program was not even on the card. In 56, he experimented with this idea, and people said, what is this? Vice Chancellor, so he was able to create space for these experiments, and people started recognizing it. The very first model was based on the community service orientation. Community service model was accepted, and the social work also adopted it. Many people were, but it was all extramural activity basically. The universities were intending to increase their catchment areas by having a better outreach, reaching to the maximum number of the people. That worked. Then a lot of things happened. Even the library movement of the Kerala became a success story. The Gandhigram Rural Institute experimented with something. Even our own Takwale Sahab experimented with Pune grape farmers. And it was a good story. Two things were clear. That you have the power to experiment. And your experiment was not necessarily academic in nature. It was service oriented. So you were doing some service to the people. That service was not being recognized, but you continued with your service provisions. That continuation has helped you in staking a claim that these services were relevant because the community accepted it. The nature of services started changing. Some services were directly oriented towards facilitating certain resolution of some problems. But then people thought, कहते हैं ना कि आयुर्वेद यति क्या है कि आयुर्वेद को क्या कहता है? In Ayurveda, you don't wait that you suffer from some problem and then medicine is given. Ayurveda is about creating a situation in which you don't suffer from any problem. ये वो situation थी कि adult education के लोगों ने they started working in those areas, in those domains which were preventing people into going into different areas, difficult areas, like depression में कोई चला जाए. So if you are doing a health awareness campaign, that you are preventing people to enter into the depression. अगर कोई difficulty आ रही है, and since VKR Veera was an economist, so nobody challenged it. So his CSME was entirely oriented towards the poverty eradication program. तब तक कभी poverty eradication program भी नहीं चलता था, but he was somehow a precursor by communicating to the students that if you are working in a particular area and you are facing that a lot of people are below poverty line, they are not having good money, but they can be facilitated into earning better money, then you do it. And it was done. And it became a standard model. The remaining programs of adult education accommodated these ideas into their policy framework. And the most bold initiative was taken in 1977 after 1964. When the policy frame on higher education was adopted, you all know that the entire policy frame considered such activities of going to the community as a major activity of higher education institution. It means you have made an inroad into the functioning. Structure में आपने सेध लगा दी थी. Function में सेध नहीं लगा था. There, functionally it has to be proved at a later stage. Functionally क्या हुआ? Historically in 1956 something has happened. Later on also something happened. In Delhi University we were experimenting with small time services based in community. Then we started considering community as not only those people, those who are बड़े निरीह हैं, गरीब हैं, बाहर बैठे हुए हैं. We started considering even those people, those who are community which need some refreshment in education. कुछ नया education में चाहिए. आज की डेट में if you are at a fatigue, if you are not able to grow in your services, then you need some reorientation, retraining. आज की डेट में if you are at a fatigue, if you are not able to grow in your services, then you need some reorientation, retraining. और retraining का provision start किया गया, and that was under the banner of continuing education program. Continuing education में each of these institutions created more than hundreds of such short-term courses. How? Because the community needed it. It was not applied from somebody else. कि मैंने UGC ने कहा कि ये 150 कोर्स है यही चलाना. It was allowed that you create your own, you make your own assessment, and based on your own assessment, आप अपना डिजाइन करिए और बनाइए. The list was more than 3,000 such courses were in operation, and all short-term, non-credit, non-evaluative courses. उसी में से कुछ कोर्स दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में चलते थे. The one such course was a communication oriented science and sports journalism, public interest litigation, legal literacy. When legal literacy course was introduced in Delhi University in 1983, law faculty said, "What is this? ये क्या चीज है?" Law faculty said, "What is this? ये क्या चीज है?" Public interest litigation was introduced in 1984. They said, "Why? Is it a jurisprudence? It is a constitutionality. क्या है ये? Legal literacy और public interest litigation क्या चीज है?" Today, these two courses are the core component of legal education in all higher education institutions. 1982 से लेकर के 1996 तक ये युद्ध चला है. In 1996, they accepted the pedagogy of adult legal education. pedagogy of adult legal education. It means there was something which was hampering the whole smooth flow of the smooth continuation of the society. जब ये smoothness आपको ले आनी है तो ultimately extension came to your rescue. Lifelong learning तो बाद में आता है. Extension function came to rescue the entire education system, entire higher education. और आज हायर एजुकेशन का के इस एक्सटेंशन का योगदान आप इतने से अंदाजा लगाइए कि बल्क ऑफ योर एक्सपेरिमेंट आर पार्ट ऑफ द नेशनल एजुकेशन. जो आप सोचते थे, जो आप करते थे, दैट हैज बीन adopted as such in national education policy. और आज ये पहली बार नहीं हो रहा है. 2016 इसमें से कुछ लोग रहे होंगे. I think I see some of the 2016 the University Grants Commission, I invited the University Grants Commission to a program. And University Grants Commission, the chairperson said, I was always worried about your future. तुम लोग क्या करोगे adult education में? और 2010 तक तो हमें समझ में नहीं आता था कि what will happen to all of you. Today he made a claim in the seminar. Today I claim that you are the only institution in higher education which have a better future. You are going to make the difference in higher education. और 4 साल के बाद in 2020 the education policy appreciated it and accepted the most of the experiments. वो क्या था? एक major exercise आपको बताता हूँ कि in Delhi University we were organizing a number of short-term courses, and all short-term courses were very ephemeral in nature. Some were 2 months, some were 3 months, and some were one time only. एक radio broadcasting का course design किया हमने, it continued for a year only, but there were 600 students registered for it. We couldn't permit that much. So some had a very long life and some had a very small life. एक course था हमारा जो बड़ा long life रहा, वो था science and sports journalism का. But वो कोर्स हमारे बाकी कोर्सेज को सपोर्ट करता रहा. So lot of enrollment happened and it helped us in understanding mathematics. सोसाइटी क्या है, बिहेवियर क्या है, टेक्नोलॉजी क्या है, राइट्स क्या है, इंटाइटलमेंट क्या है. और 5 साल का एक प्रोग्राम जर्नलिज्म के लिए हुआ. It was all based on our own experience. जो ग्राउंडिंग हुई, the grounding which had been doing for last 30 odd years, 30-35 सालों की जो ग्राउंडिंग थी, उससे जो निकल के आया था उसमें ये हुआ था कि there is a possibility of pooling several knowledge sources into one and allowing students to use it at variance as per their difference. जैसा वो चाहते हो वैसा करें. And this experiment had once been made in 1982 in Pune University by the then UGC chairperson Madhuri Bensa. जब उन्होंने कहा कि फाउंडेशन कोर्स में हम सारी चीजें ऑफर करेंगे, वो नहीं चला, इसमें चला. और ये चला और by 2016 it started taking shape. In 2017 it was applied, and today I make a statement here. By 2017 the university was convinced that such an experiment can be taken up. Without any state support, without any state funding, this program was adopted and 100 students were offered education of a 5-year integrated program in journalism with the option of exit at any point. Even if you have done 1 semester, you can make an exit and you can come back at any point of time whenever you feel comfortable. In coming 10 years, 20 years, जब भी चाहे आप वापस आ सकते हैं. No restrictions, because this is known as enabling. Education has not been enabling. It is more of a prohibition. तुमको ये करना पड़ेगा, ये नहीं करना पड़ेगा. If you are falling short of attendance, you won't be allowed to appear in examination. Prohibitions बहुत है. इसमें वो prohibition की जरूरत ही नहीं है. Allow them to use their own time and resources and be part of the higher education system. And उसका नतीजा क्या है? More than 10,000 students applied for 100 seats. And it is happening every day. A very small course, total life उसका 7 साल का है. Every year there are more than 20-30 students from outside India. And it is coming without the support of the government of India. Now the government of India is convinced that such experiments need to be accommodated. You need to make such an experiment here also. आपको करना क्या है? फंड एक इशू जरूर है, fund has always been an issue, but it is not the only issue. There are options. You can use these opportunities because you are a university. You are not creating a shop outside your campus. कहीं बाहर ही काम नहीं कर रहे हैं. And if you are doing something at the university, it means जो 60% का bedrock है, that is very strong, fulcrum है, solid है. उसके ऊपर 40% का मूवमेंट है, 40% में 10% मूवमेंट भी आपके फेवर में आता है, तो इट मेक्स सेंस. And this is possible. ये हो सकता है. The same thing happened with cyber security. Cyber security में कहीं हमने वो नारा नहीं दिया था कि it is lifelong education, it is lifelong learning. But उसमें ये कहा गया था कि anybody and everybody is eligible to be part of this education. And what happened? Lot of people of different age group. कोई 20 साल का लड़का था, 15 साल का, 18 साल का लड़का था, कोई 40 साल का, कोई 50 साल का, कोई 60 साल का. This is what is lifelong education. The opportunity is lifelong education की opportunity है. Learning तो होती ही रही है. आपने मुझे कुछ सिखाया हो चाहे नहीं सिखाया हो, आपकी चाल ने मुझे सिखा दिया है कि I should walk like you, I should groom myself like you. ये तो हमें किसी ने सिखाया हो चाहे नहीं सिखाया हो. We have all been inadvertently and advertently learning together. लेकिन हमने रिकॉग्नाइज कभी नहीं किया था उसको. Recognition is lifelong learning. Process has always been there. Process is nothing new. Today it is easier to apply lifelong learning. Why? Because there is a technology which is facilitating you. Earlier it was difficult because today it is possible because the networking and the use of resources from all possible sources is possible today because technology is very friendly. And technology customize कर सकते हैं आप. You can offer education to one person. Cost is not likely to be very high. वो जो $40,000, $50,000 लेके हम जाते थे ना, अब उसकी जरूरत नहीं है. अभी वो सब कुछ यहीं से हो सकता है. This is how it has to be operated. Universities has to open up. Universities के सारे departments को एक line लेनी पड़ेगी कि we appreciate this initiative and we are open to it. मैं organizing committees के लोगों से एक request करूँगा कि अगर इतनी बड़ी सभा हुई है, इतना आपको ज्ञान मिलने वाला है, all the way from international experts and various public and private institutions, तो एक recommendation बना करके, declaration करके, इसको बना करके, I see people are already working on it. मुझे लगता है so it's good कि उसको बना करके दें और nobody is going to say no to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening remark. One thing I want to request, being a teacher, you have a notepad, take out your notepads. Once in a blue moon, you get this opportunity. Some international dignitaries are on the dais. They are giving something. Just jot down. Next. We are also fortunate to have on the board a special guest, Professor D.S. Rajput, sir. The esteemed Dean of Humanities and Social Sciences at Dr. Hari Singh Gaur University, Madhya Pradesh. Professor Rajput is a distinguished scholar with a specialization in criminology and correctional administration and sociology of crime and correction. His research interests also extend to social welfare. His academic journey is adorned with numerous accolades. He was a merit scholarship holder from 1975 to 1981 and again in 1986 to 1988. He was a university topper in 1988 and the 7th position in the university merit list in 1990. In recognition of his contribution, he was conferred the Kala Shri Award in 1987 and was the Best Project for Rural Development Award by Rotary International RI 3040 in 2020. He was honored with the FISC Award by the Indian Society of Criminology. Professor Rajput has been an active member of various editorial boards, including the Naman Research Journal, Radha Kamal Mukherjee Chintan Parampura Research Journal, and Samaj Bodh Research Journal. He has also served as a referee for the Journal of Human Ecology. In terms of administrative roles within his university, he has served as the chairman of the Board of Studies for Sociology and Social Work and as a member of Board of Studies for Criminology and Forensic Sciences, Psychology, Anthropology, and Philosophy. He has also been a part of the Committee of Community College, the School Board for Humanities and Social Sciences, and Academic Council. Outside his university, Professor Rajput has held the position of chairman of the Board of Studies for Sociology and Social Work at Chindwara University, Madhya Pradesh. He has been a member of Board of Studies for Sociology at several various universities across India. Give a big round of applause for sir. I would like to request Professor Rajput to give his remarks.
विश्वविद्यालय के द्वारा आयोजित इस 2 दिवसीय अंतर्राष्ट्रीय अधिवेशन के अवसर पर मैं आप सभी का हार्दिक अभिनंदन करता हूँ। डायस पर उपस्थित प्रोफेसर नवरीन, प्रोफेसर सिंघांस, प्रोफेसर जे.पी. दुबे साहब, प्रोफेसर पंड्या साहब, प्रोफेसर संदीप जी, डॉक्टर प्रशांत जी, विश्वविद्यालय के ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर और सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स। 2-3 चीज़ें बहुत छोटी बातों में आपसे करना चाहता हूँ। जब हम लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग एंड एडल्ट एजुकेशन की बात करते हैं तो इसको हम कह सकते हैं कि इट इज़ अ जर्नी डिफाइंड एज ए प्रोसेस ऑफ लर्निंग विच इज़ कॉल्ड एज द प्रोसेस ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन एंड जर्नी अप टू द मेकिंग ऑफ विजडम। जब हम सूचनाओं से लेकर के प्रज्ञा तक जाने की बात करते हैं, जहाँ कुछ करने के लिए हम सीखने की बात करते हैं, तो बहुत कुछ ऐसा आता है जो जीवन के हर क्षेत्र में उपयोगी होता है। अभी बहुत चीज़ों पर यहाँ पर डिस्कशन हुए, बहुत सारी बातें हुई, लेकिन एक चीज़ को मैं आप लोगों से बात करना चाहता हूँ कि जब हम लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग की बात करते हैं, पोटेंशियल को डेवलप करने की बात करते हैं, इंफॉर्मेशन से एजुकेशन और नॉलेज तक आते हैं और नॉलेज से विजडम तक पहुंचने की कोशिश करते हैं, तब एक बात आती है कि हम अपने लाइफ स्किल्स को कैसे तैयार कर रहे हैं। और लाइफ स्किल्स को विशेष रूप से तैयार करने के लिए हम उनको क्या दे पा रहे हैं जिनको हम डिप्राइव्ड कम्युनिटीज के रूप में देखते हैं कि जिन तक पहुंचने की बहुत ज़्यादा आवश्यकता महसूस नहीं होती है। इस कार्यक्रम के जो कन्वीनर है, कोऑर्डिनेटर है, एडमिन सेक्रेटरी है, पूरे मेंबर्स हैं, उन्होंने बहुत मेहनत करके बहुत सारी बातों को ध्यान में रखा और संभवतः उस बात को भी ध्यान में रखा होगा। लेकिन एक बात जो मैं आप लोगों के साथ जोड़ना चाहता हूँ, वो उनके लिए भी हमने कुछ काम करने की कोशिश करनी चाहिए। आप लोग कर रहे होंगे, लेकिन मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ उसमें बहुत सा काम हो रहा है और वो है जेल इनमेट्स। जेल के अंदर रहने वाले जो इनमेट्स को, जिनको बाद में छूट करके जीवन जीना है और यहाँ पर उनको बहुत कुछ करने की आवश्यकता है, उनके लिए कौन से प्रोग्राम्स हैं, उनको हम क्या क्या लाइफ लर्निंग में दे पा रहे हैं, उनके स्किल डेवलपमेंट के लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं, हमारे कौन से कोर्सेज हैं और क्यों उनको आवश्यकता है। जब वो सोसाइटी से किसी भी कारणवश उन्होंने क्राइम किया, पनिश्ड हुए, पनिशमेंट के लिए वो पनिशमेंट के कारण से जेल के अंदर जाते हैं, लेकिन उस पूरी जर्नी को छोड़ने के बाद जब सोसाइटी के अंदर आएंगे तो एक अच्छे ह्यूमन बीइंग के रूप में स्थापित होना चाहते हैं। इस बीच के जो प्रोसेस में उन्होंने 2 वर्ष, 4 वर्ष, 10 वर्ष, 20 वर्ष जितना भी गुजारा हुआ है, इस बीच में उनके लिए लाइफ स्टाइल को चेंज करने के लिए क्या है, और छोटी छोटी चीजें मैं आपके साथ शेयर करूंगा। उसके बाद इस बात को लेके आता हूँ। जब भारतवर्ष के अंदर में प्रिजन एक्ट बनता है या हर स्टेट के अंदर जेल मैनुअल्स तैयार होते हैं, उसके पहले जब जॉन हॉवर्ड प्रिजन रिफॉर्म के फादर के रूप में जाने जाते हैं, तो उन्होंने इस बात को विशेष रूप से कहने की कोशिश की थी कि हम कुछ ऐसे प्रोग्राम्स उनके साथ तैयार करें जिससे कि वो डिसिप्लिन की लाइफ जेल के अंदर जी सकें और फ्यूचर बेटरमेंट के लिए सोसाइटी में आते हैं तो एक अच्छी ह्यूमन बीइंग के रूप में स्थापित हो सकें। अभी प्रोफेसर जेपी दुबे साहब बहुत अच्छी बात कर रहे थे कि हम वैल्यू एजुकेशन की बात करते हैं या लोगों को सिखाने की बात कर रहे हैं, बहुत ठीक बात है। दरअसल में उनको भी आवश्यकता है क्योंकि वो एक ऐसे सेक्शन के अंतर्गत हैं जिनको लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग की आवश्यकता है। इसके डेवलपमेंट में हम क्या दे सकते हैं? शॉर्ट टर्म कोर्सेज हैं। मैं आपके साथ शेयर करना चाहता हूँ, चूंकि मेरा पीएचडी का वर्क जेल के साथ ही है और पिछले कुछ वर्षों से जेल रिफॉर्म्स पर काम भी कर रहा हूँ और जेल ऑफिसर्स को ट्रेनिंग भी दे रहा हूँ और जेल यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ जब देखने की कोशिश करता हूँ तो उनको डिस्टेंस एजुकेशन के साथ डिफरेंट प्रोग्राम और प्रोजेक्ट्स के रूप में हम लोग काम करते हैं। इनके पास इंडस्ट्रीज होती हैं, उन इंडस्ट्रीज में लोग काम करने की कोशिश करते हैं। वहाँ पर क्या हम उनको सर्टिफिकेशन कर सकते हैं? निश्चित रूप से कर सकते हैं। क्या हम उनको लीगल अवेयरनेस के लिए उनके अवेयरनेस प्रोग्राम दे सकते हैं, लीगल एड प्रोग्राम दे सकते हैं? नेशनल लोक अदालत वहाँ पर संचालित होती है, उसके साथ ही साथ उनके पास लीगल एड प्रोग्राम्स भी होते हैं। बहुत सी इंडस्ट्रीज है जिसमें वो काम करने की कोशिश करते हैं। प्रोडक्शन से लेकर के उनके जो सेल सेंटर्स होते हैं वहाँ पर काम करते हैं। आप सोसाइटी के अंदर कभी देखने की कोशिश करेंगे तो बहुत से ऐसे प्रोडक्ट्स होते हैं, चाहे वह आपके फैशन डिजाइनिंग के प्रोग्राम्स हो, चाहे वह बुक बाइंडिंग के प्रोग्राम्स हो, चाहे वह वॉशिंग पाउडर्स को तैयार करने की बातें हों, इलेक्ट्रिकल्स के प्रोग्राम को देखने की बातें हों, या हायर एजुकेशन में इन्वॉल्व करके हॉर्टिकल्चर, एग्रीकल्चर या अन्य चीज़ों के लिए लाने की बात आवश्यकता महसूस होती है। तो ये सभी वो चीज़ें होती हैं जिनको हम देखने की बात करते हैं। केवल प्रेसिडेंट इनमेट्स की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ मैं। उनके बाद हम देख सकते हैं पुलिस ऑफिसर्स को, हम उनके लिए कोर्सेज दे सकते हैं जो और भी ऑफिसर्स हैं। ये सब अपनी ड्यूटीज कर रहे हैं, लेकिन इनको आवश्यकता महसूस होती है कि इसके अलावा कुछ सीखने की कोशिश करें। और इन्फॉर्मेशन सब बहुत सारी गैदर करते हैं, उसको हम एजुकेशन के रूप में लेके आते हैं, लेकिन उसको नॉलेज और विजडम के रूप में चेंज करने के लिए क्या आवश्यकता महसूस होती है? आप सोशल वर्क के विद्यार्थी के रूप में, सोशल साइंसेस के स्टूडेंट्स के रूप में, यूनिवर्सिटी के रिसर्चर्स के रूप में काम करते हैं, या हम एक अच्छे सिटीजन होने के नाते काम करने की कोशिश करते हैं, तो कोशिश यहाँ पर की जाती है कि जो ओल्ड एज होम में है, जो इंडस्ट्रीज में लगे हुए लोग, जो खेती में लेबर का काम कर रहे हैं, जो इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट हैं, उनको भी बहुत कुछ सीखने की आवश्यकता है। सब कुछ हम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आवश्यकता इस बात की करने के अलावा हम क्या और सीख सकते हैं। तो हमारे पास बहुत बड़ा आकाश है, इसका इज द लिमिट, बहुत कुछ किया जा सकता है। सिंपोजियम में मैं आप लोगों से डिटेल से इस संबंध में बात करूंगा। ये इनॉग्रल सेशन है और यहाँ पर मुझे लगता है कि इतनी बात करना ही बहुत पर्याप्त है कि मैं आपके साथ में वो कुछ क्वेश्चन दे सकता हूँ, वो कुछ आधार बात कर सकता हूँ, और केवल इस बात के साथ कि जब हम कभी भी लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग की बात करते हैं तो हमको इनफॉर्मल एजुकेशनल सिस्टम के साथ जाना चाहिए। जिन चीज़ों को हम शुल्क के रूप में देखते हैं, जिनको हम सोसाइटी के अंदर देखते हैं, जिनको हम परिवार के साथ सीखने की कोशिश करते हैं, जो हमारे स्किल्स हमारे पैदा होने के साथ पैदा होती है, और इसीलिए हम ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट के साथ ह्यूमन रिसोर्स मैनेजमेंट की ओर जाते हैं। तो ये जो लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग एंड एडल्ट एजुकेशन की प्रोसेस है, इस प्रोसेस को मैं मानता हूँ कि ये एक बायोलॉजिकल एनिमल से हमको सोशल एनिमल बनाने की बात करती है, और संभवतः यही इस कॉन्फ्रेंस की बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि होती है। मुझे विश्वविद्यालय ने इस कॉन्फ्रेंस के सभी मेंबर्स ने, विशेष रूप से प्रोफेसर संदीप सिंह जी, प्रोफेसर हिमांशु पंड्या जी, आप लोगों ने मुझे यहाँ याद किया, मुझे अवसर दिया कि मैं आप लोगों के साथ कुछ बात कर सकूँ और इस लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग के साथ मैं भी कुछ सीख सकूँ। इसके लिए बहुत बहुत आभार, धन्यवाद, नमस्कार।
Thank you, sir. A big round of applause for sir. Now let's turn our attention to our chief guest, Ascent Chair Professor Simon Otama. I've already introduced him in the very starting of this session. His address promised to be a lighthouse guiding us towards new horizon of understanding. Sir, please give your remark.
Okay. There was a presentation, but we don't need it. I think I'm the dessert, so the dessert shouldn't be very big, and it should hopefully be memorable. So I realise you've been here a long time and you've been listening to a lot of people talking. And even if I was talking for an hour, I probably wouldn't want to impart too many messages or too many ideas, so I will just focus on 3. The first one is that lifelong learning is nothing new. Lifelong learning is what human beings do all of the time and have always been doing it. So this isn't something new. It doesn't belong to education. It doesn't belong to policy. It doesn't belong to anything. It belongs to all of us. It's part of our DNA. So when we talk about implementing lifelong learning, we are talking about creating opportunities for all of us to learn. So I think it's important that we remember that. I left on the scarf that was given earlier because I think the scarf is, I'm not going to use the slides. The scarf is at the end of the spectrum. It's indigo or violet. So I would say that's a message that we continue to learn right to the extremities of our lives, to the extremities of our capacity, and to continue to be as inquisitive and exploring and as hungry for learning right throughout our lives in every single context. In this room, in every place you go, when you meet your friends, when you're online, when you're socializing, when you're walking on the street, they're all learning opportunities. And I said I was going to make 3 points. And the third point that I would make is that lifelong learning is for everybody. So it's our mission, it should be our mission to create lifelong learning opportunities for absolutely everybody. And that includes, the people who clean the floor, people who serve you food, the people you meet on the street, the people everywhere. So I think that's critically important. And when we talk about implementing lifelong learning, we should be talking about implementing lifelong learning for everybody, not just for those that are privileged or those who are in good positions or those people who have had good opportunities. It should be for absolutely everybody. So there are the 3 points I want to make. I could spend another hour talking, but I would be saying the same thing over and over and over again. I hope you enjoyed the dessert, that it's memorable, and that you remember those 3 points. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us. It gives me immense pleasure to extend a warm welcome to Dean of Administration, Professor Sudhanshu Pandya, sir. Professor Pandya, sir, your administrative acumen and leadership have been instrumental in the smooth functioning and progress of our esteemed institution. Your dedication to fostering an environment conducive to learning and growth is truly commendable. Your presence here today adds great value to our conference. We look forward to your insight and guidance as we dwell into the discussions on the implementation of lifelong learning in India. Sir, take the helm of this presidential address. I invite you and request you to give your remark. Big round of applause for him.
Thank you, Pooja. Professor Tama from Ireland, Professor Eloise from Denmark, Professor D.S. Rajput from Sagar University, Sagar, Professor J.P. Dubeji from University of Delhi, my young brother, Professor Sandeep Kumar Singh, the man behind this moment, Dr. Prashant, Director, other esteemed invitee speakers from different parts of India and the world as well, my faculty colleagues from the university, dear students, research scholars, my friends from press and media. As far as this presidential address is concerned, loads and loads of things have been discussed before it's given to me, and we have spilled the beans, right? Rather, time has gone beyond our scheduled way. So, as far as this moment is concerned, this workshop is concerned, I expect the university, which has been hallmarked with A++ grade from the NAC, and your department deserves a round of applause to set the ball rolling with the conduct of this kind of programs and events. And that's not something which is going to be a unique proposition. We wish to see this kind of a culture in our university starting from this very moment. And hopefully, the way my predecessors had already spoken about, this lifelong learning is not something which is a faculty to be dedicated for segmented learning. Rather, it's a holistic. It is a part of inseparable domain of individual life. It is a kind of an analogy, if I have to give, the way we use mobile and laptops and the desktops, it is to be continuously updated as well as upgraded. Please catch hold of these two words, updated as well as upgraded. And that's what we all, as a human beings, have to do continuously. And who is going to be the better facilitator than the lifelong learning department? And that's what my expectation is. As far as getting the facilities, infrastructural support, I'm there with you. But knowledge creation is something we all are looking forward to it. And as it has already been shared by Professor Rajput, that after this seminar discussion would be over, prepare a report, submit it, so that the productivity of these kind of programs to be ensured. And effectively we can measure the impact factor of this kind of a workshop. So not taking much time, wish you all a good luck as well as have a great time for the discussion. Let loose your brain and your thought process to discuss, to describe, invent, reinvent, whatever way, but do create the knowledge. Have a great learning time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. A big round of applause for sir. Now, we move forward for a special segment of our conference, the memento felicitation of our esteemed dignitaries. I would like to invite Dr. Kiran Jha ma'am to come forward and present a memento to Professor Seeman Otama as a token of appreciation. A big round of applause. Thank you, ma'am. Now I request our Dean, Professor Sudhanshu sir, to kindly present a memento to Professor Ilha. We are grateful for his invaluable contribution to the conference. A big round of applause. Moving forward, I would like to invite Dr. Anita Avasthi ma'am to felicitate memento to Professor J.P. Dubey sir. His insights have greatly enriched our discussions. Now, I am taking this opportunity to felicitate Professor D.S. Rajput sir. His presence has added great value to the conference. Now it's a privilege to honor our very own Dean Administration, Professor Sudhanshu Pandya sir. I would like to invite Dr. Abhishek Mishra to present a memento to him. I'll add again, he's not here, he must be he is engaged somewhere. So I would request Professor Sandeep sir to felicitate Sudhanshu sir. Now I would like to request our okay then felicitation ceremony. So is felicitating Sandeep sir. A big round of applause. For Sandeep sir, please give a big round of applause. Now, I would like to invite and request our Director of the Department, School of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences, Dr. Prashant sir, to give a vote of thanks. So please come forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Professor Simon Ottawa, Chairman, ACM Education. Professor Soren Elhers, Chairman, Center of Lifelong Learning, Denmark. Professor J.P. Dubey, Director, Delhi School of Journalism, Delhi University. Professor D.S. Rajput, Dean, Humanities and Social Sciences. Dr. Hari Singh Gaur, University, Sagar. Professor Sudhanshu Pandya, Dean, Administration. Professor Sandeep Singh, Director, IQAC. And our international and national guests, my colleagues, dear students. A very good morning to you all. It is a privilege and a great joy for me to extend a vote of thanks to all those who are part of this event. I convey heartfelt thanks to Vice Chancellor, CSJM University, Kanpur for this unconditional support, inspiration and motivation. We are thankful of our national and international esteemed guests, sparing time from their busy schedule and travel long, passing the various states and countries. Our special thanks to our entire team, faculty members of the department for their support and suggestions. Our sincere thanks to the Professor Sudhanshu Pandya for their suggestions and for their support. And also I extend my thanks to administration department and IT department. I also wish to thank all the students and interest there and enthusiasm you have shown. Indeed, a good sign for the future. Last but not the least, a very big thank to people who have worked extremely hard, both in foreground and background, to make this event a success. Thanks to the official support of the university. And before I conclude, a very big and heartfelt thank to every stakeholder of this program for their support. Organizing committee values everyone's contribution in the event and dedicates the success of this session to all the names who have been mentioned and are being missed out. Thank you so much once again and have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Now I hand over the mic to our research scholar Tejashwi. Please, Tejashwi, come forward and take the initiatives.
अभी आप लोग यहीं पर स्टे करेंगे। अभी तो इनॉग्रल सेशन हो चुका है, अब एक पैनल डिस्कशन होना है जो हमारे और डिस्टिंग्विश्ड गेस्ट हैं फ्रॉम द इंडिया एंड फ्रॉम अब्रॉड, वो आपके साथ में एक पैनल डिस्कशन करेंगे और उसमें आपके क्वेश्चन आंसर्स के राउंड होंगे। और इसके अलावा ये 2 दिन का एक ऐसा इवेंट है जो मेरे ख्याल से आप लोग कभी भूलेंगे नहीं, इसलिए क्योंकि अभी इसके बाद हमारा प्रेजेंटेशंस होंगे, आप लोग को उसका एक्सपीरियंस करने का मौका मिलेगा। साथ साथ एक वर्कशॉप भी है जिसमें मेजरमेंट कैसे किया जाता है, लर्निंग प्रोसेस को कैसे हम मेजरमेंट करेंगे, उसके ऊपर एक पूरी एक वर्कशॉप है जो कि आपके लिए इन फ्यूचर बहुत काम आएगी। हम बहुत सारे काम करते रहते हैं, रोज बहुत सारे काम करते हैं, लेकिन उसकी मेजरमेंट स्केल क्या हो, कैसे हम मेजर कर रहे हैं, वो इम्पोर्टेंट है। वरना कहते हैं ना कि मेहनत तो मैंने भी बहुत करी है पर हमारा रिजल्ट बहुत खराब गया। हमारा ज़्यादातर लोग जब रिजल्ट आता है तो यही कहते हैं कि भाई मैंने तो लिखा बहुत कुछ था, बहुत अच्छा लिखा हुआ था, लेकिन उसको नंबर ज़्यादा मिल गए, उसको नंबर कम मिले। और कहते क्या कि टीचर जो है फेवरेटिज्म कर रहा है। तो ये कैसे मेजर करना है, कैसे लर्निंग को मेजर करना है, कैसे हमें क्या करना है, इसके विषय में पूरी एक वर्कशॉप है जिसमें आप लोग बहुत ज़्यादा आप लोगों के लिए बहुत फ्रूटफुल रहेगी और बहुत ही इंटरैक्टिव वर्कशॉप होगी, तो आप लोग उसको जरूर अटेंड करेंगे। तो अभी फिलहाल आप लोग बैठेंगे, एक नेक्स्ट पैनल डिस्कशन विल बी स्टार्ट विद इन 5 मिनट्स और अब नया डिस्कशन पैनल आएगा। सो थैंक यू सो मच सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today for an enlightening panel discussion with some of the most distinguished individuals in their respective field. I would like to invite our panelists, Mr. Yaqub, Dr. Shalini Singh, Professor Vyani, Dr. Kumar Ashutosh, Professor Naseem Ahmed Khan. Each of them brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to our discussion today. We look forward to a fruitful and engaging discussion. Please give a big round of applause for our panelists. Students, please be seated.
Thank you. So, here today, we are starting with a panel. This panel is specially kept here to give you an overview about experiences from all over the world in relation to lifelong learning. So, initially we had 4 experts on the panel from Ireland, Denmark, and 2 others. They have experience from other parts of the world. So, some have experience from East Europe, the others have from Mexico, Latin America, and this is what we would like to share with you as a point of departure so that you can understand what is going on out there in the world where different experiments with lifelong learning have started, and people have started to implement it, people have had met a lot of challenges, and what is it to implement lifelong learning in different contexts. So that you can also reflect upon your context after we listen to them. So on the panel, we have 6 experts. Right now you can see 4 because the other 2 are interacting with the media and they will join us shortly. And I would like to introduce all the panelists right now. So maybe it is more interesting that I ask them to introduce themselves, because it is always the case that I could read the name of their universities, I could read from where they are, but maybe they would be able to tell you much better and much precisely about themselves. So I walk one to the panelists and let's see what they want to say about themselves.
I am Professor Naseem Ahmed Khan, Chairperson, Department of Social Work, Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. For the last 30 years, we are teaching in the Aligarh Muslim University, and really we have the collaboration with the department, with the Center of Continuing Adult Education at Aligarh Muslim University for the last 20 years, and in collaboration with the Department of Social Work and the Adult Education Center, really working towards the achievements and the promotions of the lifelong learning to the common people of the society. So it's a great opportunity to share my experiences with the audience as well as with the persons joining this program at international level. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So as you can see, Sir is from Aligarh Muslim University and he might have a very good insight from India. But this is an international conference. We would also go forward to hear what people from outside India are saying, and then we can reflect upon our experiences and see whether this works in India or not. So here, my friend.
Thank you very much. My name is Bjarne Velkommen, and I'm a professor in adult education, and I'm director for the National Center for Competence Development in Denmark. I must say I'm very honored to be invited and very honored to have the possibility to give a short presentation of what we're doing in Europe. Right now I'm chief in a development project in Eastern Europe, developing vocational education and training, rather big program for 8 years with about 30 million US dollars. So I speak from this position. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Bjarne. So as we can see, Bjarne has a lot of experience on vocational education and also from Eastern Europe. Now the context of Eastern Europe is quite similar to India, because there are also economies that are growing right now. They are not very rich. But we will see, we will find out what Bjarne has observed, and they are also more or less, as I understand, on a similar kind of platform to catch up with the implementation of lifelong learning. But we will see that in a while when Bjarne answers our questions. And now I have another friend here, another colleague from University of Delhi.
A very good afternoon to all of you. This is Dr. Kumar Asutosh. I represent University of Delhi. Before joining the Department of Adult Education, I worked with College of Vocational Studies for more than 14 years in the university only. So what I'm going to carry a lot of practical experience and how vocationalization of adult education or lifelong learning can be done, which is a very integral part of our NEP 2020. Besides this, currently I am associated with UNWTO, and recently they had a General Assembly in Samarkand, Uzbekistan. So I am having all the details about how such kind of implementation is going on in the Central Asia side, what is the condition of this in University of Delhi, and how the use of vocational courses or implementation of vocational courses are going to solve the problem of lifelong learning and how practically we can experience it. So this is what I am going to discuss with all of you today. Thank you very much.
So as we can see, our friend from University of Delhi has a lot of experience also abroad. He is talking probably in this panel about Uzbekistan, Central Asia, and his overview from all the people he meets in all these big conferences. So we would listen to him in a while when he can also reflect why he's having a perspective from India and looking upon the world. So from this panel, and then we will have another online panel and we will compare. But now I move to my next panelist, and that is Jakob.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Well, my name is Jakob Vandal. I am the only non-university employee in the campus, as I know, as a speaker. It's first and foremost the academics. I'm more practical guy. I started as a researcher in Denmark, where I did research in adult education. And this I did for 14 years or so, and after that I was employed in the Ministry of Education as a civil servant, making laws and administrating fields, among other adult education and also the public school. And as the last job in the Ministry of Education, I created a national testing system for Danish school children. And after that, I finished, I carried on as a private researcher and consultant and advisor mainly in measuring science. And I've done a lot of projects, different parts in the world, mostly in Denmark, but also in, for example, Mexico or in Wales, some other places as well, Nordic countries. But I'm primarily concerned about measuring science, how to measure the effect of education. That is my main line.
So as you can see that Jakob is an expert. I know that he has a long experience with the ministry and also with academia. So it's not totally correct that he's not related to academics, but yes. I would now request our panelists. The other two panelists cannot join right now because there is media interaction going on, so please excuse us for that. But now we should start. So I would ask 2 rounds of questions to them. The first question would be about what is their experience with lifelong learning, with the implementation of lifelong learning in their context. So whatever they have, they would like to share with you, and then I would ask them about the challenges and the possible solutions, because you see, the theme of this conference is about how to implement lifelong learning in India. So we need to know, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Maybe we can learn something from them, maybe we cannot, but then we can learn what not to do, isn't it? So let us listen to them. So my first question is to you, Jakob. Could you tell us about your experience with something related to implementation of lifelong learning in your context? So what is your context and what is the experience? Quick answer.
Yes. My main context is the measurement part of learning, and my experience is that one of the main challenges in implementation of lifelong learning is making the educational sector work individually as different sectors in school system work, and work together also with the outside world. And that is, as I see it, the main challenge of lifelong learning is working together. And measurement of learning is about collecting data on the effect of what we do and interpret these data. And if we don't know the effect of policy, implementation often fail. So the importance of scientific measurement and evaluation is understated and underestimated, especially when it comes to measuring learning, I think. That is one of the main challenges, but I'm a kind of a specialist and a nerd, so the carrying out of the education I don't know much about.
Thank you. So I hope you understood or you figured out also while doing your research that you're looking for data and there are problems in measurement. Jakob is the right person to ask all your questions, so just feel free to throw your questions at the end of the discussion. And now I go to Ashutosh and ask him what is his experience globally.
See, I would like to sum up this experience in through one quote. That if you are a graduate today, you stop learning tomorrow, you will become uneducated a day after. This is the concept of lifelong learning, that you have to always be in touch with what is going on. And the one problem that we are facing worldwide is lifelong learning is all about adult education, and people say it is kind of eradication of illiteracy. We have to basically launch the literacy program, but this is not the meaning of lifelong learning. For example, many of the youngsters sitting in this room, they might be well aware, might be very well equipped than me as far as the digital literacy is concerned. So if it comes to digital literacy, I may be a learner. I may be a person who requires lifelong learning program. In terms of legal literacy, I have no idea. So the concept of lifelong learning should not be summed up just as that we are going to launch some literacy program, we are here to make adults educated. It's nothing like that. It's a continuous process. It's a kind of process which can always be used to enhance our academic performance, to get a better opportunity in the job market, to get a holistic development of ourselves, and the best use of lifelong learning is in innovation. Whenever some innovative practice is going on, whenever some innovation is done, it's a product of lifelong learning. If you stop learning, you can never do any innovation. So, as far as the challenges are concerned, we have to make everyone educated that learning has no age bar, learning is an endless process, or as long as we keep learning, as long as we keep improving ourselves, especially as a teacher. There is no doubt that teachers are lifelong learners. But apart from teaching, those who wish to contribute for the society, those who want to go for the innovation, those who want to do something for the upliftment of the society, and we should not hesitate in learning the new things. As I told you the example of digital literacy, most of the teachers who are mid-aged like me, they might be having. If you talk about legal literacy, all the teachers, those are not from the legal background, they might be having the same problem. So learning has no age bar. Learning should not have any hesitation. It's a kind of continuous process which must go on. In the second part, I would let you know that how the implementation can be done with some examples.
Thank you, Ashutosh. So, as I understand, Ashutosh wanted to highlight the barriers in learning, and then if you have experiences or if you have questions, then Ashutosh is the right person to attack with your questions. So now I come to Bjarne, and Bjarne, I'm very sorry I tried to put your slides on, but I hope, but he can just sit there and speak. Is it okay for you if you just see your own computer and speak? It's fine because they are listening to you. Okay. Okay, Pooja ma'am, can you just okay, and while I come to Bjarne, I would ask Naseem sir, so please,
Really, we are approaching to the community who is underserved community, as well as those who are not being taken care of by the people, by the authorities, by the institutions, and to reach with them. Continuously we are working in the field, and we have adopted 5 villages of a legal district. And while encountering with the problems of the persons living in those villages, as well as from the other villages also, we have encountered so many challenges in the discipline of the lifelong learning and the adult education. We have noticed that there is limited resources which are not available to the community, and within the limited resources, whatever we work together with the community, we could not get the result as desired by the government as well as by the institutions. Similarly, there are certain barriers, and these barriers are relating to the cultural as well as the linguistic barriers. So sometimes when we work together and we go to the community, because of certain barriers in the linguistics and cultural, whatever the task has been fixed so far could not be achieved. Similarly, sometimes, and we know that we have the resistance to the change, and it is also noticed in the field that there is a resistance in the sense that they are in need of the food, but we are doing something else. So they resist the changes also. And system-related issues are also there. So these are certain challenges, and to overcome these challenges, we have certain ideas in our mind that the innovative funding models must be developed, that we must take into account to develop various resources in the terms of the finance, either from the private partnership or from the government side, and our researches should be community-based researches. Whatever the problems they are facing, we must reach to their, develop the research, their outcomes, and then we work together in collaboration with the government's funding programs. And certainly there is a need for continuous professional development of the persons who are in the field for the lifelong learning or for their empowerment or their vocational development, digital literacy, or so and so on. Whatever the government is going to the last person of the society, so it becomes our duty also to extend our helping hand to the government institutions and machinery to reach to the last person of the society, to empowerment, and we are very much sure that it is an education which is really a tool of the empowerment of the institute of the downtrodden community, and through lifelong learning, he can empower our community in education, and it will give the base for other types of the developmental activities. Thank you very much.
So as I understand, he highlighted the problem is that we have limited resources, and the other problem is that stakeholders do not engage enough, right? So these are the two challenges. I personally love this because I'm also working on mobilization of resources, for how to mobilize resources for lifelong learning, and that is my specific area of interest. So I'm very happy to have that on the table today. And if you have these issues, or if you're working with something that is related to how to mobilize resources for lifelong learning, or if you feel that yes, we have great ideas, but there are not resources enough, please catch hold of that man there. Thank you. So, Bjarne, what is your experience?
Yeah, I've been working for this topic for 40 years, and you asked me for my experiences, and I'm very happy to be here to present our experiences. I'm not going to tell you what to do because I don't know your position exactly, but I want to tell you what we are doing in Europe, and our experiences, what we are concerned about to qualify lifelong education. Maybe you could take some of our experiences to implement it in your situation, but I think my job here is to present what we know and what we find as a problem and problematic, and what we find as what we are doing research on and what we are doing making policy about. So I'll start to present 3 issues to qualify lifelong learning. That's what we are occupied with in Europe. The first one, you could call it that the students should come, that the participants should come to the educational system. It seems rather that they ought to come because most of the adult education in Denmark and in Europe is free, it is cost-free, so you think, well, why don't they come? But in fact, you have, as I mentioned the motivation, the paradox. And what does that mean? The paradox means that something should be obvious, but is not. And the paradox is that those participants who need the most education do not participate. The high education, they take a lot of education, but the curious who really need competences do not want to join the educational system. It's a paradox, and it is what we're working with. And to find a solution of that, to get a connection with the shortest educated, we are relating the education system closely to work. It means that we are looking for which competences do the competences need and what competences do the employers need. And to connect these 2 reasons, you have a possibility to reach a large part of the populations which do not want to join the education system. And as a third point, under the third point is that we're going to assess prior learning. I don't know whether you're working with this here in India. And what does it mean? It means that you assess what people already know, what they already can, and you have to access the competences. And not only to access them, but to use them and to build upon it in the educational system. So we are assessing prior learning before starting, and we are planning and structuring the educational system according to that. So we, in a way, we work with Europe and how to measure, how to assess prior learning in a proper way, so you can plan and structure the educational system accordingly. But not only the educational system, but also the training situations. We are combining learning and education, if you like, tell it that way. The second part, the second issue is how to make them stay. The first one is how to make the participants to come. The second one is how to make them stay. And we are focusing on the learning environment. You could call it an educational environment, or you could call it a learning environment. But anyway, it is important to have a learning environment which people want to stay. Because another problem in many of the educational system in Denmark is that, and in Europe, that participants drop out. We have a high amount of dropout, so we have to work with that. And the first one is, don't underestimate the social relation in learning. It's very important that the social relation is important for staying and for learning and to be motivated. So how to work with that, how to develop a learning environment. In fact, we are doing research about that, and not only we know that there are a lot of factors to create such a learning environment, but we do not know how about this learning environment develops. So it's one thing. And the second point, which is a cardinal point, talking about adult education, how to make the learning meaningful. which we are very occupied in, is transfer of training from school to practice. Because much of what you have learned are not going to implement it in practice. I just will tell you another joke, but we have made some investigations about these conferences here, not here in India, but in Western Europe. And we try to measure how much of what has been said in the conference will really be implemented in practice. And you will be disappointed because less than 5% of what I said was transferred from conference to the practice. So when you leave here, I hope you improve this process to be much larger. It is transfer problem is one of the most serious problems in accordance to lifelong learning and accordance to lifelong education. The third point is improving the quality of the learning and the teaching process. In my short presentation, I told you about the great project in Eastern Europe to develop quality in the vocational education system in Eastern Europe countries. So the question is how to improve the quality of the learning and the teaching process. We are using the concept sustainability, how to make this teaching process sustainable. And we are working with three aspects. The first one, that we should be awakened to reflect on the progress. We're working on this. How can you be sure that you're doing progress? Not the end of the process. We are not talking of the ending of the process, the final evaluation. But how can you be sure that you're doing something, that you're improving what you are supposed to do? So you are going to reflect or assess the process. The second one is to train the teachers to reflect on action. We are working with this concept of reflection in action. How can you train the teachers to do that? And the third one is to develop a change capacity in schools. It means that the schools should be able to confirm and to adjust according to the demands for the students. Not for the moment, for the future. So we have developed what we call change capacity in school. You can say a change capacity in the school systems. It's a third important thing. So all in all, these three issues is what we are concerned in Europe, and we are working with them. We are doing research about them, and I can tell more about it if it's possible later in this discussion. But thank you for having the opportunity to tell what we are doing, because most of us are most interested in what you are doing yourself.
So that was great. You heard all the four panelists talking about their experiences, about what are the challenges in implementing lifelong learning, and then now I would ask them to reflect about what solutions they have understood. Can you actually relate with what Pyane said? 5% of the conference take home, maybe 2%, we don't know because it's difficult to measure, but still we all realize that there is very little that we carry home. What is it that we take home from conferences? It is usually we had something, we took somebody's number that we liked, and so how are we dressing up, or maybe I bought a new one for the conference, by the way, so I got it. This is my take home. But anyway, but most of us forget that in these conferences, when the experts are coming, it's a pity that we don't care for what they say. They get 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then they are talking about very important things that we miss upon. We don't care, whatever they are saying. But you know, hard work, lots of years of experience has gone by before they are sitting here and telling you what is their experience. So, for example, when now I compare the experiences from two panelists from India and two panelists from Europe, you see the difference. We are still thinking about how to get resources, how to get people engaged. And Jakob is so advanced that he's thinking how to measure learning. But we are still at the starting stage. We are still having, we are still craving for funds to get more money in order to implement programs. So we have to look upon this with a critical perspective that these could be the issues, but are they related in some way? We will find out what they have done, or if they have not found a solution, and what way we should go forward. And then I would expect maybe 4 or 5 questions from you, if you want, to take advantage of this opportunity to ask them questions. So Jakob, what solutions could you find when you had this challenge about measurement, or is there any? Yeah, could you please put off that light, because it's, I don't want to lose my eyesight for the end. Thank you.
Well, I think for me the main question is not how to get funding. That is not my department. That is somebody else who takes care of that. My department is what works in education and how can we improve. And if we don't know what works, how can we make any change? We go to education, we have a feeling that sometimes we learn something, sometimes we doesn't learn very much, but how can we assess what is learned in the setting, in the educational setting, what comes out of it? Somebody said that the primary purpose of education is educating, is actually paying teachers. That is the main outcome. Nobody learns anything. It's mostly employment for teachers. Is that true? Okay, you're teachers, right? Just kidding. I think what is clear. I asked actually. I have been a teacher. I've been doing lectures in the University of Aarhus, and afterwards, after the lecture, I picked out students and I asked them, "What do you remember from this lecture?" And what they said was not what I wanted to hear, but they took a lot of other things away. I told some stories, and some students said that now I know what I want to work with in my final thesis. But that was not what the lecture is about. So learning is uncontrollable. What goes on in people's heads is not something that the teacher can decide on. And that is, measurement of learning is more like very important, and you have to separate what is learned because that you have to have a paper that proves that you have done an examination, or if you want to measure learning for improving further learning. That is two different things. We differ between formative and summative learning. That is really essential. And measurement and data can only improve learning if the results are understood and used formatively and constructively. And it's about having realistic expectations and objectives to establish a dialogue between the teachers and the students and the schools. That is very important, and it's often overlooked that this is crucial to have realistic expectations, because if you expect that you take a course in 2 days and you now know to do all kinds of science, you will be disappointed. So there is very precise expectations, and not expecting too much is actually quite a good thing. And then there is very important thing is about not just look at what's going on in the school system, also in assessment, embed it in training and other learning platforms at school, in childcare, in workplace, in adult education, while the formal education system has a very important role in lifelong learning, but it's not all, and if it stops in the formal education system, lifelong learning is not implemented. I think it was the main point.
Thank you, Jakob. So he's saying that the measurement should go beyond the formal system, and he is going to deliver a workshop tomorrow on measurement of learning, and I invite all of you. If you have not heard about this measurement of learning, I still invite you because it is going to be very interesting and opening new doors for you. Maybe you want to go ahead for further research or something. You would find it very interesting, really. That's the recommendation. So please join it tomorrow and explore more about it. And now I go to Ashutosh. Ashutosh, your quick response to how do you think we can solve the problem, or are we still going to research maybe some new areas of research they can work on? Okay,
because it is supposed to be a discussion and not just a presentation. So I have a short comment to my friend and very close friend, who I admire very much. But I have to say that it is old school. His focus on summative evaluation. He mentioned the distinction between the summative and formative evaluation, and his old school focusing on the assessment on summative. What's a new thing? It's an evaluation of formative. You should evaluate, you assess the process. Why? Because if you assess the process, you get sustainability. You create change, capacity for change, and that's much more important, and you learn to learn. So it is important to focus on summative evaluation, but it's much more important, it's important to focus on summative evaluation, but it's much more important to focus on formative evaluation. That's what I would say as a critical remark.
Thank you, Bjarne. You did a great job to make it a discussion, and this is what we expect more in Europe. I saw that coming, so I was trying to be clever, not to give it to Bjarne, but he just took it. So now, your comment. Maybe it's a bit.
Yeah. See, whenever we are discussing some problem, we must have to go in the root cause of that particular problem, because there is no fruit without root. Unless we understand what was the cause of all such kind of problems, implementation, till then we will not be able to understand why it is happening. As most of you might be aware about the rich India knowledge system, it can be traced up to 2000 BC. There was a time when there was no concept of formal education. People used to perform Ras Leela, Ram Leela, Gurukul, and they used to disseminate all the cultural values among the crowd. Once we are aware about the cultural values, once you are aware about your treasure, then there is no need of any lifelong education. So the problem started when we started compromising with all such kind of things. There was a Gurukul Parampara. India is the only country, none of the European countries have any Gurukul Parampara. Gurukul Parampara means that a teacher is sitting, is given the highest position, and whatever he is saying is going to be believed. There is no problem in whatever he says. But later on what happens that those institutions, they started getting collapsed. So as he's asking that what is the problem in implementation and barrier in our country, and why we are a little far, not matched with European country, it's a wrong notion. Delhi University is the first university, my dear friends, listen it very carefully, which introduced the concept of lifelong learning in 1950 only. In 1950 only, 73 years back, the problem of lifelong learning, a paper of lifelong learning, was introduced in University of Delhi under their B.Ed program. Okay? Then it was India which first time introduced in 1951 in their first 5-year plan the concept of lifelong learning, and it is continuing till National Education Policy 2020. Means we are the only country in the world perhaps which have been focusing on the problems of lifelong learning. We are trying to address that why such kind of things can be solved. In 1951-56, I would like to inform all the audience that the focus was on literacy campaign. In 56-61, the second 5-year plan, the focus was on, you must have heard one program which was launched in Satara. This is an example I am giving you in Maharashtra, which got UNESCO prize in 1972. And that particular program was Gramin Shiksha Abhiyan. It was launched in Maharashtra and it later on got the prize from the UNESCO. Okay? In the next 5-year plan, that was the third 5-year plan, the focus was on how the farmers can be further enhanced, their literacy can further be enhanced. Because during the British rule, what happened? That there was a concept of middleman got introduced, and because of that, what happened? That the problem and the need of lifelong learning started since then. Because the farmers, they were not well equipped to sell their whatever things in the market. So because of that, the problem really started. So nowadays, how can we counter the problem of lifelong learning? Implementation of lifelong learning is the only way through vocationalization of the courses. We have to introduce the vocational courses, because the meaning of vocational course is that it is job oriented. It's a little bit different from what we are teaching right now. So the concept of vocational course is a must, and our NEP allows us to switch over from one course to second to third. A student of science can choose commerce paper, a student of commerce can choose arts paper. This is the flexibility that has been given in the NEP, and I think this is a very clear roadmap that how the problem of implementation of lifelong learning can further be addressed. So, as far as the barrier is concerned, I would like to say that it has already been addressed. The implementation is concerned, we are here to implement it. The university and the school systems, they have to look after that how such kind of things can be implemented, and all our students, they must get employment on time. Thank you.
So now our last reaction to how the problem has resolved.
Actually, we have listened the university speakers, and on that basis, I come to the conclusion, and I will touch upon the 3 aspects from where we can improve the lifelong learning. Firstly, it should be total strategy should be based on the community-based learning. And since our career starts from the school days and university days to the moving ahead to the community, so the course curriculum must be designed that must be based on the community issues relating to the socio-economic and cultural. And for that, it's necessary that peer-to-peer learning must be there, that in the adult education, each one. So it must become that the local leadership must be engaged in the teaching and sharing of the experiences with the local community, and it is also focused upon the cultural integration, and ultimately it is the use of the technology. Our government, present government, is focusing over the digital literacy, and when we want to improve the economic status our society and the government thinks about, it's our duty that we must give the digital literacy to the community also, to come across with the world level challenges and to come forward with the digital literacy. Second aspect is that it shall be the collaborative approach, and for that multi-sectoral collaboration must be there, and sometimes it's necessary that we must form the community forums, and we must organize the workshop where the community members come together and to share their experiences and to how to, if there is a problem of the education, how it can be resolved so well. And for that purpose, the volunteer must come forward to join the hands of the implementers and the government, and for that the whole activity is based upon the how we develop the feedback mechanism, because it is the feedback which continue the cycle of the any program, any policy, any activity, and really that must be there. And lastly, it is our duty to empower the marginalized community, and for that the targeted program must be organized in the community. Pinpointed programs, whatever there are different needs of the community, we must focus upon that particular program, and for that it's necessary that we must develop the confidence and skills of the local community, and really it's the education, and we must advocate about the right to education and how it will be empowering them, and finally it is the economic empowerment through education, and certainly it will improve all the aspects which has been covered under the National Education Policy 2020, that the lifelong learning will no limitation. It will start from the birth to the death of the person. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, as I understand, we are also running out of time. But as I understand, we have certain challenges on the table. We have certain solutions on the table. Some of the things are not discussed yet. But you can find these four panelists anywhere around in the conference. Please bug them with all your questions, ask your questions, and quickly about whatever you want, because make optimum use of this program when you have come here. So apart from this, I heard from my colleagues who are watching us on YouTube Live that it's quite an interesting session. So I'm happy about it. And now just an announcement that at 2 o'clock we will start online panel, and there are panelists from other parts of the world who would join that. If you are interested in listening to them, please look for the online panel discussion. I will log in. It will start at 2 o'clock. I know that it's tempting when food is lying there. You could take your food. You could know how to get online. Either you can join online, or you can just see it on somewhere wherever it is displayed. And then I thank you in the end, but I think I have a colleague who wants to ask a question. And after this, just hand it over. I am saying thank you for this session.
Hello. My question is that whenever I try to teach someone like something which is not part of the syllabus, then I don't find most of the people motivated towards learning. Like I even studied, and I also encountered that learning is something like there are some personalities which are innately eager to learn. But most of the people, I think, try to convert that learning into money, that whether this learning will make them into money or not. Right? So how to break this barrier? Like how to convince them or how to motivate them that learning itself is you should do this thing. So this is my concern, that how to motivate them towards the learning itself and not let them try to transform that into money making work.
मैडम माइक दे दो.
Thank you so for responding to this, and thank you for the question. We keep that question in the parking lot. I don't have more questions. We have to rush. I'm so sorry about this because of the media. But please find these people and feel free to ask them questions. So thank you. And yeah.
Hello. Hello, please.
I'm so sorry that we have to finish the date now because we have a rush for program. So firstly, I would like to invite Dr. Manas Upadhyay to come forward and felicitate Mr. Yacob. A big round of applause for Mr. Yacob. We are honored to have you, sir. Next, Dr. Sharad, may I request you to kindly felicitate Professor Vyani. Professor S.P. Verma, sir, to felicitate Professor Naseem Ahmed Khan. I would like to invite Dr. Shilpi Professor Khan to felicitate a big round of applause for Professor Naseem Ahmed Khan.
Really wasting time.
I would like to invite Shilpi Kukreja ma'am to felicitate Professor Next, I would request Dr. Urvashi ma'am to come forward and felicitate Dr. Shalini. We are very happy to have you, ma'am.
Madam.
Ma'am, you are the one that's happening just now. Thank you for arranging everything. Thank you.
Thanks to all the panelists and all the students, research scholars, and teachers present here for sitting patiently and listening to it. I hope you all have noted and learned something from the session.
भाई तो क्वेश्चन नहीं हो पाया यार, बता रहा है गलत बात है।
ऐसे करके ना, ऐसे करे वो भी आ रहा है भाई।